Hey, what's up, guys? I know it's been a while. This is Leo, also known as LionTrader. So it's been about, 2 years now since I've had something to say about the AMC and the potential squeeze. Uh, but we might be onto something here. We might have a squeeze. Time will tell. But let's dig into Roaring Kitty's Keith Gill's tweet here. So he tweeted out this article, Time Magazine. Interesting. There's a lot of speculation going on that this is him trying to signal that it's time, like it's about to happen, it's time. And an indicator that I use is also kind of raising some green flags here. So what I want to do is I want to kind of unpack this and kind of see what I think. I think that there's two possibilities as to what he could be doing. So let's go over that. So option one, and I think this is the more likely option, I think that he is trying to essentially trigger the squeeze because, so in order to understand how a squeeze works, like the mechanics of it, you could think of it kind of like dominoes, right? So as price begins to move up, what ends up happening is the first domino falls, which would be a stop loss. And whenever a stop loss gets hit, you're forced to buy back your shares at the market, meaning that you buy up all available shares and then the price goes up. And so what it does is it creates a domino effect where stop losses start getting triggered and the price just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. And then you get into margin calls if you don't have stop losses. So for example, if it gets to a certain price and you get a margin call because your equity, you don't have enough margin to cover the position, essentially the prime brokers call and they say, hey, we're closing this. You don't have any options. You either add more margin or it's getting closed. So now that you kind of have an idea of how the mechanics of it work, I think what he's trying to do is I think that he's trying to trigger it because he understands that he's got a lot of influence within this little niche type space. And if he tweets out something, a lot of people get excited, they start buying it up. And I think that he's trying to get people to do that to trigger it because I'm speculating that he thinks that the margin calls or the stop losses are very close to where the price is. And if he can get it to bump just a little bit, it would trigger a cascade and this thing would be off to the races. Now we can see that because he also, if you go back in time to June, I believe this was the same time that he started tweeting out again. He started posting, just constantly posting tweets, and the price skyrocketed, as you can see. So the other option is a bit more malicious, and I don't think it's the case. He just doesn't seem like that type of person, and also it doesn't really make sense because I mean the guy, he made, I don't know the exact amount, but I want to say he made like $100 million on this one trade. So to go this route, it doesn't seem very likely. But the other option would be that he is essentially, he loads up on longs at a low price, he tweets out something, and then the price pumps and he unloads on everybody. It's a possibility. I don't think it's likely though. It opens you up to a lot of legal risks, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess he could be doing it, but I don't think that's the case. So what I think we can kind of take away from this is that he's kind of the guy that started this whole thing, I believe that he still very strongly believes that there are a lot of failures to deliver out there and all this other stuff that's been going on. It's still continuing. And so he's trying to get this thing to shoot off. So I think that that's at the very least what you can take away from it. But if we look at the chart here, so I love Bollinger Bands because you think about it, price can do essentially two things. It can trend up or down, or it can be range bound. Okay. So what Bollinger Bands do is they measure the volatility of a stock. So if it starts to trend sideways and price isn't very volatile, they contract, they get very, very tight around the price. Now, whenever you have a breakout such as a squeeze, a very strong, violent move in the market, what happens is the Bollinger Bands begin to expand. Now, going back to what I said before about how you have this domino effect where stop losses are being hit and hit and hit, that's why they always try to break the momentum. It seems like every time that the stock starts to move, starts skyrocketing, stop losses are being hit, margin calls might be happening, something happens to break that momentum. And once momentum is broken on a short squeeze, it becomes very difficult to get it to start again, because what you essentially have to do is, so like, let's say that stop losses get triggered and price moves up to here, right? They do something to break the momentum and price begins to move back down. In order to get things really going again, you have to get price back up to where it was and then beyond, so that the stop losses and margin calls can continue to start cascading. So Bollinger Bands are extremely effective at figuring out when the top is. So if this thing is going to run, and it looks like it is, because typically what I look for is where, when you break outside of the Bollinger Bands and you stay outside of the Bollinger Bands, that's a sign that you have a lot increase in volatility and that a big move is coming. Now, you can have false positives on it, but it's a way to track it. So that's exactly what we're doing. In fact, we got all the way out to the red on the Bollinger Band. That's the third deviation. You can go back to the Bollinger Band video that I did, it's been, 2-3 years now, and check that out if you want to look into these indicators. But essentially what you want to see is you want to see price continue on within the Bollinger Band. So I want to go back to the previous time that this had squeezed. So if we go back to, because this is going to give you a really good idea to what to look for. So we're going back to June of 21. I'm going to expand this. So we're on the daily time frame here. Now, what you'll notice is that price broke outside the Bollinger Bands, and it stayed outside the Bollinger Bands until they broke the momentum. And then once the momentum was broken, right, so the whole way up, you've got cascading margin calls. Actually, I think this had a lot of gamma squeeze going on here. But essentially, it drove price all the way up where it halted. I believe that's what happened. They halted it, and the momentum broke, and it pulled back. In order for that to have continued on, price would have had to have gone back up above the all-time high and continue to cascade those stop losses and margin calls. So what it does here is it tells you, okay, well, it's gone up there, now it's rejected, it's moved back down, and so you can see that the price is losing momentum and it's just moving down, 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 down. That's what you don't want to see this time. So if we are correct and it does start, like Keith is saying, then bear with me here. Okay, I just had to get us back to having to use a mouse pad here instead of my mouse because I've got to have this microphone plugged in. So if this is correct and this is a squeeze and we're going to start ripping, then what you want to watch for is essentially what happened last time. You don't want to see it pull back into the Bollinger Bands, because then it's not that it can't keep going up, but it's that it becomes much more difficult for it to regain its momentum. So I want you to treat this as if just a momentum gauge, right? So if it goes up and then it starts to fall out of the Bollinger Bands and it starts losing momentum, that's not a good sign. You don't want to see that whenever you have a short squeeze. But right now, I mean, things are looking good. We got to see what it does in the overnight and see what happens tomorrow. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. So you probably noticed that a lot of my videos have been kind of taken down. They aren't deleted. They're still there. They're just unlisted. So YouTube has, they've kind of changed the way they do things. So you can have a channel and you can treat it like a TV channel, essentially. And you can have different shows within that TV channel, which is what I'm trying to do with my channel. So I have a playlist for videos that are a little clunky right now. I'm still working out how to make those types of videos, but they're essentially personal finance related. And then we have playlists for technical analysis, like what we're doing here, and news commentary is another playlist. So if you see those kind of popping up, just know that I'm doing several different types of content, and they're going to be categorized as such. So all those unlisted videos, I've got to go back one by one, and I've got like 400 or 500 of them, and recategorize them and put them into playlists so that everything is like organized. So if you're looking for certain videos and stuff, just know that, bear with me, they're going to be coming back out. I've just got to, it just takes time to organize them. I've got to sit down and go one by one. So kind of just give my, I guess, rough idea of kind of my thoughts, because I know it's been like 2 years since I've covered this stuff. I still think it's possible to happen. It's just that towards the end, I was getting very frustrated with all the, what I would call corruption happening, where, I mean, we have Gary Gensler, the SEC saying that, oh yeah, all these billions in failures to deliver the stock. Oh yeah, there's nothing going on. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And so you just have this corruption within the SEC. So that was frustrating. And then we see the what I view as corruption with the CEO. I know a lot of people like him, but to me, he just kept doing things that were not helpful, like diluting shares and saying that, oh, there's nothing going on. And I don't know, it was very frustrating seeing all that going on. And then just content really kind of dried up. There wasn't really a whole lot to talk about. And, you just kind of lose your momentum. So it's, but it's good to be back on the bandwagon and making content again. The personal finance type videos are going to be a little bit more professionally-ish. The technical analysis stuff is more laid back like this, where I can just talk and chat. The same goes for news. It's going to be a little bit more chatty type, commentary type stuff. But we're getting this thing rolling again, and if there's any more updates on AMC, I will definitely give you updates on that. And I'm running out of things to say, so until next time, y'all take care.